Hello again, Michael Ware with Iowa Firearms Coalition. We have Warrior Wednesday today. And with us, joining us is Ron Holmes, inventor. We don't have many inventors on here. Well, this is going to be fun. Inventor of the RYKER Grip, US MC retired. Tell us, what is the scoop with the RYKER Grip and everything associated with what you're doing? I want to take a deep dive right now.
Yeah, and so we are the first to market side-mounted grip. I have props since I have to, show them in their raw state, but this is the RYKER control. So what it is I went to my first shooting package in Force Reconnaissance in the 90s. I grew up on an MP5 and a 1911. In the 90s, I love giving a little history lesson for people.
Sure.
Before the towers fell, we didn't have a tactical industry. We didn't have online presence. We didn't have the ability to just go, Google and stuff like that. We did everything from catalogs or whatever we could convince our supply to purchase us. In the 80s and 90s, a lot of the equipment that we got came side specific for right-handed shooters. So being a lefty was always a challenge for me to find the right gear, or if there was like one piece of left-handed equipment, it was probably well used and it was just not even worth trying to salvage. So I started to learn how to unsew, resew, fabricate my own stuff. So I like to say that like my superpower is that I'm left-handed. Fast forward, I retired from Marine Special Operations in 2010. Prior to that, I had multiple surgeries. So basically, I have rubber bands that hold my shoulders together. I have screws and fishing line in each elbow, and I have an inch of height loss. When I went to work for government service after I retired, all of the shooting that we were doing, I found that my support arm was painfully going numb with your typical, broom handle, wedge, nub, palm under, thumb overboard, whatever you want to do. Just found that it was just my pre-existing injuries. It was just really aggravating them. So I had a me problem and I came up with a solution. I had made a couple grips out of some existing grips, and I felt that I was onto something. And then this moldable plastic stuff called Instamorph popped up on my Facebook feed back then, and I ordered it. And I'm like, whoa, this stuff is actually as advertised. So I started playing around, figured it out, and I started making some handholds that fit on the side of the gun. It almost looked like a piece of rock climbing wall.
Can I, is it okay if I ask a quick question? I don't want to, I don't want to derail you. No. You're telling me that ridiculous algorithm that Mark Zuckerberg uses to mine for all of our data benefited you?
Yeah, I guess it did. Like, yeah, but this is also
my heart. Ron, I got to tell you, this is very painful for me right now, dude. Not good. But sorry, I couldn't help it.
Well, actually, honestly, I remember the advertisement for it, and it was this guy. He had his drone. It was a 4-prop drone, and he broke one of the props, and it showed him where he got this. He sanded it down, drilled it, and everything, and put it back on, and it made the drone work. And I was like, that's pretty cool. So like. I wasn't actually searching for it. It just popped up in my feed, and I was just like, all right, so yeah, I guess I got one over on old Zuck, right? Maybe I've never thought about it like that.
Enjoy it. You're one of the very few. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I started running that. I made a bunch for some other guys that I was working with and guys in other places, and they loved it. And I ran that thing for a few years. And then one of my partners, one day we were going on a road trip, and he was just like, dude, you should invent something. And I'm like, man, I got a notebook of ideas. And I was just like, here's stuff I have invented. It kind of stinks when you invent something and then you get issued a piece of gear that you invented.
Yeah.
And like, didn't realize like about patents and manufacturing and stuff like this. You just made something to do your job better. And then fast forward, after some dudes take some pictures of it, take it back to another dude. And then 2 years later, you're issued your piece of gear. When you're actually issued it, you still have the original on your pistol belt. Yeah, that stings. So, I mean, I've just kind of always was a little bitter on that, But So we decided, we went forward with it. We sat down with a patent writer because there's no sense to even go out of the gate if you can't obtain a patent. And this was really interesting. We gave it to him. I think he was about 9 months. So in that process, we had some prototypes and stuff, and we did everything we were doing. We had the engineers lined up. We had everything ready to go. We were just waiting for his findings to come back. He came back. We sat down. He goes, "Okay, you guys are on to something or you're on to nothing." And we're like, "That's pretty broad spectrum right there." And he said he could not find anything for the purposes of hand placement on the side of a rifle.
Okay.
Like, so either nobody's thought about this or nobody's ever pursued it. He goes, either way, it's yours. The side of the rifle is yours. So we applied for our patent. The patent process, if there's any inventors out there, especially in the firearm space, make sure you get a patent attorney. They're worth it. They're expensive, but they're worth it. The patent attorney process is a game. It's just honestly, in my opinion, it is a government cash grab. They were essentially, it almost was like they were trying to bleed us dry. Mm-hmm. And so we filed once and it got denied. And we filed a second time and got denied. So I asked our patent attorney, I was like, do we have the same person reviewing our patent each time? And he was like, yeah. And I said, so do you have dialogue with this guy? And he goes, well, what do you mean? I was like, can you just pick up the phone and be like, bro, like, what's going on? And he goes, yeah, I could. Why? And I says, well, here's the deal. I said, I want you to call this guy. Say, look, man, these guys are a small, disabled, veteran-owned business. You're every dollar is important to them. What do we got to do to get this thing passed? He hit him up with all the questions. The guy's like, yeah, make it say this, take this out, do this, boom, boom, boom. We did that. Cool. Came back, and this is what I was waiting. I came back, denied again.
Yeah.
And I was like, so what are our options? He goes, well, we can appeal it and we can request a hearing. And like, this is the one time on business side of things, like I actually spoke up over my two partners who are MBA guys and they're legit businessmen. I'm just the referential authority on teaching people how to shoot. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, we're going to do it. And they're like, well, why? And I says, well, here's my thing. Our attorney called him, talked to him, plain English, asked him, what does it need to say? We did exactly what he needed to make it go through. It didn't go through. This guy now has a personal problem against firearms related products. He's allowing his personal beliefs to interfere with his professional position. So we went up there. It was nothing. And this is all just the attorney online. Basically, they reviewed it again and they're like, yeah, it's good. So we actually had full patent in less than 18 months.
Wow.
It cost us over 15 grand, but there we go. Yeah. So that being said, so then once we had patent pending status in the background, we already had the engineers working on our different versions and our prototypes. Once we got that, we moved forward with our statisticians. We had a doctor of biomechanics and ergonomics who came on board to help us because we knew, as much as the firearms industry says like, oh, we want change, we want something new. And then all of a sudden you come out and you give them something new. They look at you like you're freaking Lucifer. It's just like, no, it's bad. Go back, here, let me go and look at this AR that's $5,000 and it's blue. Like, but nothing's different on the inside, right? Yeah. So we knew that was coming. So we wanted to do something different. This is why we had a doctor of ergonomics and biomechanics to help us with this. This is why we brought on a statisticians and we created a 96-round course of fire that measures speed and accuracy. This is why we had 2 MDs on board to help us with this and get this listed, trying to get this listed and approved to be a medical device, along with the engineers. And then we exercised our family and friends network and, got it. I was no longer working for the government. Both of my partners were retired from the Navy. And then we were just going around doing gun shows and promoting the product. So we are the first to market side-mounted grip. Speed, accuracy, and stability are all improved with that. Like I just said, we can actually back that up with science. Think about all of the accessories and all of the things that you have bought in the past. How many of them actually have quantifiable data to back that up? Other than, bullet path, bullet flight, accuracy of barrels and stuff. I'm talking about accessories, right? So this is our flagship product, the RYKER Control. We added texture to the backstrap into the finger pads. And this one, I won't blow out your light there, but you can depress the button up here on the top and removes the need for pressure pads or hot buttons and stuff like that. And it gives you the option to run light or laser. Right now, it currently comes in a singly surefire tail cap or the L3 crane type connector. And we will be offering the new USB-C gas cap, hopefully within the next few months. So original grip has mild texture on it. Everything is ambidextrous. And this is our setup that we created in the meantime before we released the RYKER control. So what this does is this actually filled up the dead space between the rail and the grip. And it gives you an extra piece of Picatinny rail up here that allows you to mount your device, so you can easily just push your thumb over and sorry, the camera's it's all backwards on me. So you can reach over and apply your pressure, activate your device, and remove it. Our buddy Doug Curtis actually sent us a prototype on one that he created. So we invented this and named it after him. So this is the DC mount. So we named that after our buddy Doug. The original grip comes with a Picatinny mount. And we do sell our second accessory made was the MNOC mount. So you could pick this up in addition if you're running MNOC. We don't do anything for key mod because key mod was pretty much on its way out. And
Sure.
I actually had a guy the other day who was like, hey man, I'm one of those guys who still runs key mod. And I'm like, I'm not gonna laugh at you. All you need is a minimum 3-inch piece of Picatinny rail, and then you can slide the grip on. And we do things too is we do, we have the same, we got to make things marine proof. So this has the RYKER logo on one side. It is not on the other. So when you purchase this, as long as the RYKER logo is up, it doesn't matter if it's left or right-handed, it will fit. It's a castle nut system. It can only go on one way. That's why we say it's marine proof. We have had people call us and we're like, it's not fitting. I'm like, send me a picture, and they have it on backwards. Here's another look at the DC mount with just a little hot button on the top. So you have a couple different options. Now, these are left and right-handed option. We also have cable management built into it. So you can see these little clips in there to help you with that. So we did leave them squirrels. Sorry. We did send it to the ATF, to get it approved. So the ATF, along with kind of being worthless, they're also illiterate and they're rude. We followed all their directions. We followed everything. We did everything they said. They did not hold up their end of the bargain. We'll be back with you in 3 weeks. We'll be back with you in 90 days, blah, blah, blah. We had to call them. So our patent clearly states horizontally mounted for the purpose of hand placement. Not a vertical grip at all. It's a horizontally mounted grip. They put us in the vertical grip category. So they did us a solid on that. Then we had to send them a pistol. We had to actually send them a pistol in the mail, which not to an FFL or nothing. I bought a pistol and I put it in the mail and I sent it to them, which is kind of weird, but okay. I'm like, I'm going to get arrested. I just feel it. Then all of a sudden they send us like this email. It's not the email. We've been trying to get a hold of you. If you don't respond within 24 hours, we're going to cut this gun up. And we're like, so we got the gun back and we filed an appeal and we never heard back. So hopefully with this new administration this big, beautiful bill, maybe that stuff goes away if it gets passed.
I don't know. I've been thinking, well, we could chase that rabbit too, but I've been thinking about what you were talking about from the beginning. And the first thing that popped in my mind is a router, a wood router. Mm-hmm. The wood router it's basically a motor that's vertical, but it's got two handles out there, and they're mounted on each side. You know what I'm saying? They're outboard, not inboard. So when you're talking about running a weapon, and your arms getting numb, or no matter where you stick it out there, it's cross your body. You're basically saying, I don't have to cross body quite as much. There's all kinds of comfort associated with this thing being off to one side. Well, that's how you hold a camera. If you're shooting a DSLR, that's how you would hold and operate that router, which is relatively comfortable. I don't know. That sounds pretty good to me. I shouldn't have interrupted, but that's been rolling around in my mind since you described that.
Well, that's part of my demonstration, and I'm going to have to air gun it for you. But, you know, one of the things that we learned, especially when we brought on the Dr. Biomechanics, the industry that has spent the most money on studying biomechanics of hands is the video game industry. Sure. So if you think about all the game controllers are designed to be like this, just kind of like what you just said, a router. Now, it's funny you mentioned a router, is that doctor also told us we were wasting our time in the firearm space, that we should be in power tools, which I was like, maybe we'll go there next, right? But so if you have your traditional where I'm reaching across, right, I'm doing this, right? So I'm shooting a rifle. So I'm shooting a rifle like this. I'm shooting a shotgun like this, and then I'm shooting a pistol like this, right? So I'm shooting three things, three different body positions, right? I have to constantly think about these things. Just by moving my hand from here or here out to here, I open up my shoulder, right? I now take that rifle away, put my grip on a shotgun rifle, the same position, saw, AK, same position, take the rifle away and put a pistol right there, and you're in the same exact position for when you shoot pistol with your support arm. So you're essentially doing one less thing, and you have commonality of movement. This inherently improves human performance.
Wow. I never thought about that. I'm a big guy. I got wide shoulders. And when I go in to use my blasting cabinet, it seems like this cabinet, the holes for the arms were built for a very small 10-year-old Asian boy. And I'm in here like this all the time. And I get sore, man. After a few hours of that, I'm like, I've got to leave for at least an hour or two because I can't do it any longer. I wonder, because I've always been a vertical grip guy, whatever that was very close to the mag well. That's always I think it's probably because my dad was an amateur photographer, and he always taught me to lock my arms and elbows in so I could be hold the camera steady in the wind, you know? So I think that kind of translated over. I wonder if something like this would help me not be so jammed up like this. Maybe that would help. I'd have to try one.
Well, you know, the thing too is if you think about your traditional methods of holding a rifle, right? Yep. Thumb over bore, wedge, nub, they all have one thing in common. You're holding all the weight of that gun up with that front delt. So this is where that fatigue factor comes in. But over time, especially when this is your profession, this is where that joint starts getting broken down. Now, if you're doing that over rotation of the thumb, that thumb over bore, you typically end up over rotating the elbow too, right? So what you're doing is you're holding the gun up and you're pushing down. All of that stress is right here. Just by putting the hand out to the side and pulling back, you're no longer holding the gun up. You're using large muscle groups, you're using your shoulders, you're using your back, right? So this is where we say it eliminates fatigue, it eliminates recoil, and no glove, no heat. Heavier the gun, higher the caliber, full auto or suppress, you will recognize the benefit of the RYKER method instantly.
What do you see for the mechanics of swinging from left to right and back around, swivel?
The drive stop, you can't replicate it. And this in that 96 round course of fire that we run. Last time we ran it with a Green Beret, a Marine Scout Sniper, a Force Recon Marine, and 2 Marine Raiders, right? We would say probably the top tier of firearms, you know, when it comes to firearms handling, accuracy, and employment, right? There were 11 misses in this course of fire. Each of those misses came without the grip. There was a 5% increase in speed with the grip.
Wow.
So 5% doesn't sound like a lot, but at that caliber shooter, 5% is a lifetime, right? They were 5% faster with that based on time. Then, because our targets, we set them up, it's at 21 feet. You have 3 targets, and we do an 8x11 box, and you come on up, you flip a coin, randomization, flip a coin. Heads is grip, tails is no grip. Flip that coin, comes up, you get whatever, center, left, left. Boom, you do it again with the opposite. That's your warm-up. Then you run this 3 more times. Then we record all of those, and that's how we come down with, we came up with that matrix. So what you get is, what you going to your question is, how does it help you? And what those guys said when they had that miss, they were overshooting because they couldn't replicate that drive stop. And that is one of the big things. When people look at it and they're like, oh, it kind of looks funny. It's like, we're like, yeah, we know it looks funny. Just try it. Right. Just try it.
Well, the reason that I was thinking about that, my daughter's will be 16 soon, and she's part of a local SASP club, they're action shooters, right? And most of them are running 22s, whether they're pistols, rifles, whatever else. Well, anyway, they had a meet here at our home range. I think it was just the other day. And I watched her. She managed to mess up her ankle when she was screwing around on uneven ground, and so she was kind of hobbled a little bit. And so when she was swiveling, because the targets are relatively close on most of those, and so there's a fair amount of this back and forth because the targets aren't that far. They're not far, or they're far or not far. So anyway, I was watching that. I thought, I wonder if there's something that I could do to help her swivel a little bit better when she's impaired and isn't able to do that. And I said, then I thought, well, maybe I could put it. She's got a 10-22-ish gun, right? So I thought, well, maybe I could put a vertical grip on there, and that would help because I don't like it when she grabs a hold of an extended magazine hanging down there. I'm like, well, these are fickle enough anyway. If you eventually handle that wrong, it will impart some sort of malfunction grabbing a hold of the 10-22 extended magazine, right? Or I'm assuming it will. That's a matter of time. So I wonder if something like that would be valuable. The problem with it is it's got MLOC, but I'm pretty sure it's only on the bottom. So is there an adapter to get it from the bottom over to the side so I could do something?
So there is. So you can go to Amazon. They make a 90-degree pick mount.
Okay.
So you can hook it to the bottom. So it comes out to the bottom and it comes out to the side. So you have like a 3-inch piece on there. We've actually used that on the KSG shotguns. And we'll talk about shotguns in a minute, but the RYKER Grip on a shotgun will change your life.
Okay.
And but one of the things that I have noticed, so we still have a lot of guys that will run the grip all the way out. I like a slight bend in it because it's still all the way out, still throws just a little bit too much stress on my joints. Just coming right back in is nice, especially when you have on kit. What I have found is your upper body mobility, just by putting your hand onto the side and bringing that arm with a slight bend into it, your upper body mobility for rotations literally turns you into a tank turret. You have upper body mobility that you don't get when you're doing thumb overboard with your hand all the way reached out. You have a lot better field of view also because your head is allowed to remain up and you can just kind of rock it around and keep your feet walking in, in a forward direction while you're shooting multiple targets on different angles. So yeah, I think that it might definitely add value for her.
Just so for everybody's edification here, some of the stuff we're talking about, all the stuff we're talking about can be found on their website. And when we said RYKER, I probably should have spelled it earlier. It's RYKER. So if you're going to check that stuff out, and you should, it's RYKER USA. So RYKERUSA.com. And I've got it on this other screen. I'm looking through some of this stuff and I wonder, I think that this is the kind of product, and I mean this with respect. I'm not tearing anybody down or building anybody up artificially. I think this is the kind of product that you're going to have to try it because I don't think conceptually most people will be able to walk themselves through it and do it justice. You've just about got to get your hands on something like this, I'd say.
Yeah, so we do a lot of vendor shows because, it's really hard to promote on social media. And our favorite vendor shows are vendor shows that have range days attached to them. What better way for me to promote and sell my product than to actually have you run it instead of sitting there wondering this and the other. Now, we love a skeptic. And we tell people when it comes to an AR platform, 2 mags, some singles, some side-to-sides, that second mag, pop, some double taps, some back and forth. After 2 mags, it's not coming off your gun. It's just not. We on our YouTube channel, RYKER USA, on our YouTube channel, there's a bunch of install videos. We got random videos on there, but we do have an intro to the RYKER method of shooting video on there. It breaks down the shots and everything like that to really help you understand how to use it. And I will tell you is once you get it, Now, the other thing that we found too, our first sponsored shooter was a 10-year-old girl when we first launched. It was Alpha Addie down in San Antonio, Texas. Our second sponsored shooter was Reagan, Pineapple Shooter in Florida. Both these young ladies are paid to shoot and like done great things. And we found is people, children, adolescents, adults with not a lot of upper body strength, our grip gives you a distinct advantage. Adults in the military, in law enforcement, smaller frame people having trouble getting their little Oompa Loompa arms around all of their body armor, have trouble qualifying. You get that grip on them, and now their grip and pistol, they're right on par with each other where they should be. So they're qualifying. So there's a lot of advantages. We also have people who've got severe disabilities. We had a law enforcement guy told us he's never been able to shoot, and our grip gave him the ability to shoot again. And we're like, awesome. And he was like, I'm a double lung transplant. I've never been able to shoulder a rifle again. We've had amputee veterans like legs. We've had veterans with, fixed hands, fixed, positions. And they thank us and they tell us like, yeah, you gave me something back. So, yeah. And we know it looks funny and everything like that. And I will tell you is that one of the things is like our motto is the progression of tradition. So we started with a plain texture grip, and then we had our MLOC mount. Then we came up with our DC mount. Then we had our first version of our sling. Now we have the RYKER sling, and we have our flagship product, the RYKER Control. And we're working on the third iteration of the grip, which with a little bit of luck should be out, hopefully, in time for Christmas. All I can tell you is that all of the other questions that we've gotten and requests we've gotten for the grip, we're putting those in, and we're in prototype phase right now. So I will be in Texas at the end of next month at our manufacturer, and we will be finalizing some stuff hopefully, and which will allow us to get some out in the field and get feedback on it. So yeah, but we're constantly trying to move forward. The other product too, I'll show you too, is this is our cable management system. So what this does, let me get close to the camera. If you guys can see those grooves right there, these come in a 3-pack, and one of them also actually comes with the RYKER Control. These allow you to run your cables for your light and laser through this and clip it onto the top of the pick rail, giving you bump protection, added level of protection that doesn't exist, and it's way better than tape, zip ties, and rubber bands. But yeah,
a lot of that. I've seen a lot of zip ties, and people are like, oh, these work great. I'm like, well, we'll see. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I'm very familiar with metallurgy. I'm very familiar with plastics. And oh, by the way, the weapons that we build, the weapons that come in here a lot, are often used heavily and frankly abused. And oh, by the way, that it generates a ton of heat right there. And you've got this little piece of Chinese nylon loop through here. It's going to eventually get hot and break down. No, it won't. I'm like, yes, it will. The question is when. So if you're going to do that and you're going to replace those with high quality nylon zip ties every few range sections after everything's hot and stinking and you'd be afraid to touch it, then maybe I won't complain. But since you and I both know that you're not going to do that, maybe you better come up with a better method of attachment. And a lot of people will laugh at me. I'm like, well, I'm just telling you. And oh, by the way, if you're out, if some of these people are just running and gunning and having a good time, I get that. But there are a lot of guys that come in here that are sparing and saving life with what they're using, and I shudder to think that you're going to rip the cord off of that thing and incapacitate your light when you need it the most. So that little thing right there caught my eye big time. Yeah,
so we're pretty psyched, and I will tell you this too, is that these will also work on the pick rails on the helmet.
Okay.
So it's a great little product there. We actually our tier 1 guys love these things, and
that's screwed in place or just snaps over the pick.
It just clips right on to the pick, so you can see the tracks right there. These are called like the wings, so you can run the cable up through these, and then it just gives you a little bit more added protection. It lays nice and flat on there. It doesn't push down onto the pick rail to, giving any perforations onto your cable. And it's a lot easier when you want to change stuff and clean it up. It's a lot neater. So you can put this on, then wrap that little bit of tape around, which will even give it even a little bit more, level of protection just so they don't get bumped off.
Sure. Okay. I follow.
Yeah.
So do you want to take the conversation into the RYKER sling? Because I'm interested in seeing that.
Yeah. So the RYKER sling, our first sling came out and it did really, really well. We kind of fell into the theory and the concept on accident. And what we noticed is, so again, going back why I mentioned earlier that I grew up on an MP5. So MP5, your sling was actually, it was a 2-point slider, right? So you had a rear attaching point at the top behind the pistol grip. And then your other part was all the way forward and it slid. It had a tracking bar that slid on there. Being left-handed, I always had to modify it with zip ties to make it work. But the thing is that we used to do a lot of shipboard training. So you were going down passageways, up ladder wells, down ladder wells, and having the ability to maneuver that buttstock around was something that's always stuck with me. I've never been a fan of putting the sling on the buttstock. I just think that it limits you. I don't like it. I think it just kind of makes the gun a little bit longer than it needs to be when it's just stuck to the back of the buttstock and you're trying to spin it around. I used to say I'm going to go to my grave not having found the perfect carry holster, backpack, or sling. I literally have probably 100 slings that I have tried and just kept in what I call my box of empty promises. And we stumbled upon that. So again, exercising our friends and family network, we reached out to the tier 1 guys and got them our sling. They ran it. They liked it. They said the concept is great. You actually have nailed the retention system on it. However, we can't use it because of this, and this. And we're like, awesome. Thank you. They're like, we mean awesome. And they're like, I'm like, give me 3 months and I'm going to have you a sling. We redesigned our sling, gave it back to them. They're like, this is it. They gave us everything we wanted. They run our sling now. Now, how our system is designed is to be run in a nice narrow base. So it sits tight to your body. So you also it sets up naturally so your rifle will sit at a bisecting angle at your hip, meaning that my muzzle's automatically set out to the side. So if I have to take a knee, my muzzle's not going into the ground. In the capacity of law enforcement, this is definitely what we want. We don't want a cop to take a knee to cuff somebody and having his barrel or her barrel go into the back of the perpetrator's head. Now they're getting an, aggravated assault charge onto this arrest, right? So you want to do everything you can to keep that muzzle out of the dirt also. But the other thing is your traditional nylon sling, if I got my rifle tight to my body, right? Your traditional nylon sling, for me to present to the target, you have to release that tension, come on up, right? And then if you want to transition or go hands-on, you got to throw that rifle out of the way. And it's an anchor. It's hanging there. Our sling is designed to be run nice and tight. And once you get it, you set it and you forget it. And then it allows you to punch up because we have retention built into the sling. There's a video on the YouTube with me and Danny Dreher, retired Marine Recondo Raider. And I'm using a traditional nylon sling. He's using the RYKER sling. And we're showing the transition of like what you have to do and how fast it is on target. Now, the simple thing is that when this thing is tight and I'm up on target, you get this super unique push-pull. As I'm pushing into the RYKER grip, the sling is pulling the rifle back into me. So it's adding as a stable shooting platform. Mm-hmm. It's making my rifle even more stable, especially shooting under physical duress, especially shooting at distance, right? You can really lock in. Now I want to transition to my pistol. Boom, I let my rifle go and come up with my pistol. My rifle remains tight to my body, not hanging down, getting in the way of my hips, not getting with my gear, stays nice and tight to my body.
So when you're saying retention, is this something that there's elasticity associated with this thing?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. So give me an idea of how much are we talking about? How much stretch?
It's not much. So it's just designed. It has 2 flex points in here, and it's enough for you. It's not much. It's probably about combined maybe 6 inches.
Okay.
And it's got a good amount of flex in the body. We got quite a few videos on the YouTube channel talking about it's going to take you to get it perfect. It's going to take you probably about 30 minutes to set it up perfectly.
Okay.
Then we tell people run it for about 2 weeks. Make one final adjustment because it does come with enough excess webbing for for everybody, for large frame people. We have not had anybody yet tell us they did not have enough material to fit their body.
All right. So I just went to, okay, RYKER, RYKER, RYKER USA YouTube channel. I'm looking at it right now. Okay. That's easy enough. I've told everybody about the website. Oh, you've got a couple of nice shorts here that RYKER USA badassery and whatever else. Okay. Some of that stuff makes some sense. All right. We'll encourage people to go there and check it out. Some of you might be watching this on YouTube right now or on down the line. You'll have to check that out. I'm pretty sure I can add a link or send that over so that it's easy for people to navigate from where we're talking about now over to some of these things. Is that what you're recommending, Ron? Is to see some of these things on the YouTube channel?
We try to put it out there and informative videos and stuff like that. We're going to redo them again. Put some fresher content out there. We're going to redo them obviously all because a lot of those videos were made before we partnered with Mitchell Defense. So we obviously want to highlight the superior firearms there. But yeah, we do that. We do most of our communication and stuff we do is on Instagram. That's honestly just been the best thing for us. Really, even though I hate it all, but
it's necessary.
Yeah.
You can't be in front of everybody when you're sitting in your shop.
No. That's why we do the shows, but the vendor shows they're also necessary evil, and they are important. But yeah.
Are you recommending people go to your site to buy? Are they supposed to be looking at them when they're at various retailers, or what's your recommendation?
Yeah, we're e-commerce. We're in a bunch of stores all over the place, mom and pops and stuff like that. But honestly, go to e-commerce, and I'll just tell you for everybody that's watching, use the code RYKER20 at checkout. No space, all lowercase, RYKER20 at checkout. And save you a few dollars, pretty much makes it free shipping and probably covers like the tax on that. But yeah, we're e-commerce. And then you can also get our stuff on mitchelldefense.com also.
I just hopped over there. Precision crafted, veteran owned firearms. So what's your collaboration or relationship with Mitchell Defense?
So Nathan and I, we met 3 years ago at the NRA show in Indianapolis. Our booths didn't know each other. Our booths were across from each other. And I had a banner up, one of the linear banners that was up, and it had a Danny Dreher on it. And Nathan and Blake were across from me, and they were like, I think that's Danny Dreher. And they came over and was like, is that Danny? And I was like, yeah. They're like, oh my God, we went to dive school with Danny. So now we're family. Like, they're from the recon community. And it's just like, so we hit it off. And I'm looking at their guns and I'm just like, oh my gosh, and it's great. And I was at that show by myself, that one. And it was awesome. So I started getting to know these guys. That was April. June, I ran a 3-day, it was a content course. So I had people coming out. We had a camera crew out here of large video production, but we had 15 people out and we ran 3 days of training. We did pistol rifle, shotgun, medical, Mantis X came out. It was a great 3 days. I asked Nathan if he wanted to come out and be the rifle sponsor and everything like this. He came out, there's 15 people. He sold the first day, he sold 6 guns to people. They were just like, I want this gun. He's like, cool, we'll do an order for him. They're like, no. I want this gun that I've been shooting. Like, I want this one. So I will tell you is I started shooting his guns and I'm like, yeah. And then he left me with a couple for after that. And we have been, since then, we've been joined at the hip. We do shows together. It makes sense. I need a rifle for my product. I have pretty good show presence. And now he and I as a team together, we're just like partnered up. We're really doing everything from bidding on, doing government contracting, bidding contracts. We're doing demos with police departments and stuff like that. And it's just really great. He's become one of my best friends. And, for him being like almost 20 years younger than me, he is so business savvy and so intelligent as far as getting everything, aligned and everything. And so I love always being in the seat of knowledge, whether it's from my 2 partners and working with Nathan, just the things that I thought I don't think of, or I'm learning. And now I'm learning, to think of going forward and stuff like that. But yeah, man, we hit it off and, it's just really cool because you kind of got a little old school, a little new school, and you bring a great product together. So we have the innovation from the RYKER, and then what we're doing with the Mitchell rifles is we're bringing you 5-star rifles at 3-star pricing. Mitchell grew up before he joined the Navy. Nathan, he grew up in the oil industry in Midland, Texas.
Okay.
And he's very big into engineering and how things work, but how to make things work more efficiently. Mm-hmm. So this is where he brings that oil technology into making a rifle. So you're seeing all these companies out there, all these guys out there, some really cool rifles. Oh, this handguard, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. But what are people doing for the inside of the gun? Right. And this is where there's the separation is so massive between Mitchell Defense and everything else out there. Right. We have a proprietary buffer system. The proprietary buffer system is a flat stack spring. This gives you a 30% reduction in recoil, faster bolt return. We did an endurance test on one of our dock lines, which is the 5.56 models. It was 17,554 rounds on a dry gun before we had a stoppage of fire. Right.
I was just reading that. That's on the dock AR-15 platform. That's a lot.
Well, when you talk to the guys in the government agencies, they replace their barrels at 10,000 rounds. They're like, that's insane. But here's the other part. Not only was it still firing, it was still holding its MOA. It was still accurate. So there's that. The bolt carrier groups are coated with armor loop, and there's zero tolerance. They're in there nice and tight. So that combination of that buffer spring allow that gun to be run dirty and dry. Our barrels are thermal fit, out of the box, 1 MOA or better in accuracy on all rifles that we make. Everything other than our Rat Dog line, which is the 9mm line, has a ambidextrous bolt release. Mm-hmm. And we are giving you guys the option of the Geisley trigger, the LaRue trigger, or the American Gold Standard trigger. So when you get to go online, you can actually build your gun. You can pick EOTech, Aimpoint, the type of trigger, and it's all 5-star. So we're going to be carrying all Reptilia stuff pretty soon. And it's just what we're trying to do. Again, we're bringing 5-star rifles, 5-star craftsmanship, freaking 5-star accuracy at 3-star pricing.
Wow. I don't think most people have a concept of what 17,000 plus rounds is. Most of the people I talk to, actually, most of the folks I talk to fall into one of two categories. They probably just don't shoot that much, which is fine, or they shoot a heck of a lot. And the concept of I probably shouldn't do this, and it's kind of like, I don't know if I'd buy a used car from a mechanic, if that makes sense. So when somebody comes in and wants to borrow one of my personal rifles, I'm like, you probably don't want that. You would probably rather have me build you one or fix yours or whatever else. Well, could I borrow this? I'm like, well, my stuff gets rode hard and put away wet. And an example was I had an old Colt CAR. It was kind of an A3 configuration, and I wanted to see how far it would go after I got it tuned up and, nuanced the way that I wanted it, which took quite a bit of work, actually. I wanted to take it and see how far it'd go. So I took it on a prairie dog trip to southern Wyoming. And I want to say on day 4, it was like plague status prairie dogs. I mean, they were everywhere. It was crazy. There's more of them than flies. And we were shooting and shooting and shooting. I think at the end of day 4, I had a little over 7,000 rounds on that rifle. I mean, it was stinking, it was pretty ugly. And when my buddy says, he's like, well, what have you done to this? I'm like, nothing. I didn't put any lube on it. I haven't touched it yet. And so he said, what's it look like on the inside? I'm like, well, I imagine it's pretty bad. And he said, what makes you think that? I said, well, I'm running a can on it, and I've been shooting. I said, I ran out of ammo yesterday, and I've been running Wolf ever since then. So I steel case stuff. It doesn't expand out of the chamber just that well. A lot of stuff was flying past it. I open it up. I mean, it was like somebody had taken a handful of carbon, or ground a bunch of pencils and threw it down in there. It was that ugly. But it was still running, and that kind of stuff. And I want to say it didn't go much longer, and it started to act sluggish. So I didn't have any lube with me at the time. I, did the standard pull the dipstick out of the truck and smeared some of that, on the carrier and stuck it back in and finished the day. But when you run a weapon that long without giving it any care, I guess that you'd say, they're ugly. it's hard on them. So you've got to really have your poop in a group if you're going to hit 17,000 rounds without a stoppage. That's unbelievable. That's crazy.
I've got my rat dog, which is my primary. Is I run the 9mm carbine, because again, like I said, I grew up on an MP5, so I'm 100% comfortable with that platform. And mine has well over 15,000 rounds through it, and the closest I've come to cleaning it is I was training some guys. Man, I can't remember. It was probably maybe this time last year. And we were out there and this storm came in out of nowhere. And I was like, it's up to you guys. I was like, we can keep training or we can wrap it up. And they're like, Mom, let's keep going. Everything was soaked. All I did when I came home, took it apart, just wiped the water off, put a little bit of gun butter on it and put it back together. And that's the closest I've ever come to cleaning it. And that's it. And I haven't had any issues with it. And I shoot everything. I will shoot any type of ammo. I don't have an issue with wolf or tool. I don't have, and that part of the thing is like the rat dog for the for the Mitchell, for that PCC platform. I haven't found a round that it won't shoot yet. So we're currently doing some accuracy testing with the SimX round. I don't know if you've heard of that or seen that, but
I haven't seen it. I've heard of it.
That stuff. They're 40 grain 9mm like defense ammo, 2,250 feet per second. They told me they said they're dropping hogs with it, with 40 grain 9mm. I'm like, that's awesome.
We're going to continue to make advancements in all kinds of things like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not poo-pooing a 45 or anything like that. I have lots of them. I know lots of people who enjoy them, but I used to think when I was a pup just getting into this that I needed something to make a bigger hole. Well, I'm telling you, external ballistics, terminal ballistics, they have forever changed, and the technology and the projectiles is becoming so unbelievable. You can make something that you might not think was a real head turner, and they've transformed them into really high performing rounds. It's crazy. I mean, it's unbelievable the technology that's coming down the pike.
Yeah, well, I gotta look up because he sent me some 40, and I haven't been able to shoot the 40 yet. And the 40 that SimX makes is also like nuts. And let's see, their 40 grain for SimX is 58 grains, and it moves at 2,050 feet per second. Yeah. So What we're going to do is we're going to go a couple weeks. We're going to go out and we're going to compare that to the Hornady critical duty ammo, which is the high performing 40 cal one. So we're going to go and just see like accuracy. We're going to shoot it at 25. I'm going to shoot it at 50. And
it's going to be the kind of thing that actually has a shape or the velocity to move through cheap
armor.
Yeah.
2 rounds probably will.
Okay. So this might not be a 5.7 killer, but it'll definitely be a performer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And, so I will tell you is one of the things that why I'm confident, where I'm comfortable carrying this ammo. When I was going through one of the medical training that we did overseas, that Liberty ammo had just come out, the 90 grain 9mm. And we were all like, because we were back then, we're all like, we want more gunpowder in our bullets. We don't want less. And when we got done with the pigs, they lined all 4 pigs up, and they shot one with an AK, one with 5.56, one with 124 grain, and one with this 90 grain Liberty. They filleted open the entry to exit wound. They filleted open. We saw it. We all got to see the patterns. That 90 grain 9mm left a bigger cavity inside than all 3 of the other rounds. And all of us were like, yeah, I'm in. So I've been carrying that Liberty until I started shooting this SimX. And now and I'll tell you the recoil reduction on it. It's not that 9mm is that bad, but that recoil reduction, even in the rat dog and on a pistol, it's like, am I even shooting a real gun or am I shooting a BB gun? Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
It seems like when we're picking up some of these double stack, 1911s or 2011s or whatever we're calling them at any given moment, it almost seems like especially if they're comped properly, it almost seems like you're cheating. It's like you're using a squirt gun. There's not much muzzle flip, and that's just for the purposes of handling something like that. Now you actually put in the performance associated with the terminal ballistics. That sounds like it's really, really fantastic. I'm looking forward to that. That'll be great.
Yeah, the SimX guys are great. We met them at SHOT Show, and their East Coast rep is up in Massachusetts. And the dude is actually, we've all kind of our network is growing because he's now repping Mitchell Defense up there for law enforcement up there. So it's all working out pretty well for us on that side of things. But I love trying stuff like that, and that's the thing. One thing that I said earlier is like we didn't have a tactical industry until the towers fell.
Yeah.
So, if you think about the MP5 was put into service in like 67, 68, right? It's still in service today.
I know.
But up until about 99, 2000, it was the premier submachine gun for all special operations, all law enforcement, all SWAT teams around the world. Mm-hmm. I say to date, the MP5 with 115 grain 9mm has stacked more bodies than anything else, right? Just because of how long and it's still in service, right? In one form or fashion, whether it be MP5K, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
All we had in the 90s was 115 grain and 124 subsonic when we ran suppressed, right? And I love dating myself, but it's just our suppressors were Smith & Wesson suppressors that went on to MP5 November, and they were water suppressors.
Yep.
We would have to dip them in the bucket. When the bucket stopped bubbling, it was full. So when you were shooting, you're getting like this cool mist of lead-filled water in your face. It was nice and 125 degree, Okinawan temperatures, right? Yeah. But all we had back then was 115 grain, 124 grain. Really, the precision ammo wasn't even, honestly, that I can remember, wasn't even a thing except for snipers.
Yeah.
For long gun, precision marksmanship. When it came down to the other stuff, to the blunt instrument stuff, it was ball.
Yeah.
That was it. That was it. So then I, Black Hawk Down, the green tip, and then this, and then the frangible, and all of these things. So the ammo has progressed, and I think to support what you just said, we are just scratching the surface.
Oh yeah.
On science and what AI is going to be able to do for ballistics and stuff like that. I mean, I was looking at Burris and our friends of ours, our general contractors. I ordered him his Burris thermal optic for him for hunting. And he's just like, this is the most insane thing I've ever seen. Burris makes this optic now that you control the optic from the app on your phone. So when you're sitting there, you could be behind the gun and I could be sitting here looking on my phone at what you're looking at and recording it. And it's amazing. And it's all range finding, elevation, wind. It's insane where we're at with this stuff. As cool as that stuff is, you still should be able to go old school and go do math. But
I built my daughter a really nice hunting rifle. And she's used it for a number of years now and done very well with it, by the way. And I can't remember what model it was. I put some SIG electronic model on there, BDX, all kinds of crazy stuff, links with her phone and the rangefinder, the whole 9 yards, all the little dots move according to what you're doing, the whole 9 yards. And she was kind of looking at it and dinking around with it. And she was like, wow, this and wow, that. And I said, well, you don't have to worry about it. She's like, why? And I said, well, I'm not going to let you use any of it. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I will give you a 100-yard zero. And then I said, let's see how you get along from there. Do what Dad did. And oh, by the way, Dad didn't have that. Dad had iron sights. So we're going to do plenty of that too. So once you learn how to do this and do this well and do this with confidence, and we can start talking about how much wind it takes to make a 1-inch sapling move in the wind and how far it moves. And you can kind of help you with that. Then we'll bring some tech into it. But you've got to earn your chops, so to speak. So I agree the technology's there, and like you, I think that we're probably in a position to either misuse it or not use it properly if we don't have the basics and the foundation down. So I never want to see people skip that.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. You got to have that, like, in Marine reconnaissance, at the basic reconnaissance course is like, there's no, the team leader is the only one who has a watch, right? It's a very rigorous, demanding school, but there's no GVSs. You learn how to, and there's no computers. You are writing your patrol orders by hand. You are doing all your navigations, your plots and everything, protractor, compass, old school, everything. Over the horizon, the amphib stuff, everything is done in its basic, most honest form. And all that does is make you better.
It does. And I can appreciate the purity associated with that stuff. I really, really do.
Yeah. And, me being my primary job in the military was all through reconnaissance. And even you and I retired from Marine Special Operations as the G6 Operations Communications Chief. One of the things that like a lot of us always said is like, there's some, we need the technological advances in equipment, but there's some stuff that we should keep on the shelf. And it was like the old school. We all wanted to keep our old school HF 104 radios because they always worked, and you're always going to get calm with that. And they were like, well, we can put that into this radio, but that radio has 3-4 other things it does. And that radio is a computer, and this, that, and the other. This one is just buttons. Yep. It is just it's an analog radio that is always going to work when you put batteries and you shoot the right antenna up.
Yep.
So, but, what do I know? So now it's not my problem. It's not my problem anymore. So,
well, Ron, we've had a fantastic conversation. Let me recap here for a second. And if I forget anything, then I want you to jump right in there. So we talked about RYKER USA, RYKER, RYKER USA, and we talked about the grip that's off to one side that you can use left or right, of course. The other accoutrement, of course, associated with that, the mounts, the capture cap for weapon lights and cords, whatever else. Certainly that sling is interesting. And then I don't remember mentioning the website, Mitchell Defense, and that's Mitchell with 2 L's. Mitchell Defense, and so that's a collaborative effort with you and a couple other fellows. So, or you're collaborating with them, and they're doing the billing. That's and 17,554 rounds before a stoppage. That's worth repeating. I am really impressed by that. So, Ron, was there anything else here that we need to let people in on?
No, thank you for shooting me that email and reaching out to me. I'm grateful to be a guest. I need to connect you with Nathan to get Nathan on here, with you. And then, gladly, I'll come back on anytime. We don't have to talk about RYKER or Mitchell. We can talk about, anything else. And, why Drake May is going to lead the Patriots to the next dynasty and get six more Super Bowls. So, or we can talk about, concealed carry stuff and what they're doing wrong here in North Carolina. And, yeah, no, I appreciate it. You giving us another platform to go on there and promote ourselves. And again, thank you very much. I think we covered a lot. And like I said, for everybody that's watching, if you go to the RYKER website or even the Mitchell Defense website, use the code RYKER20 on both websites. And, have at it. RYKER USA and Instagram is probably the easiest way. DM me if you got any questions. We do also, one thing I should add, we do offer training through, we put it up through the Mitchell site. And what we're going to be doing, what we do is when you sign up, we do, basic, intermediate, advanced carbine stuff, but beyond the basic course, it's rifle pistol courses. So when you sign up for our course, you have to go in and you have to pick a doc or a rat dog. So you don't show up with a rifle. We're providing you a rifle for the day of training. So what better way for us to promote our products and to promote our training, our products, than to let you come and spend 6 to 8 hours on the range running that product.
Fantastic. That's a very interesting concept.
Yeah, and we do travel to train. Obviously, we need a range, and a range that allows outside instructors to come in, and a range that doesn't charge an astronomical range fee. But yeah, we do travel to train, and we do a lot of stuff for law enforcement as well.
Fantastic. Very good stuff. Again, Ron Holmes with RYKER USA and also Mitchell Defense. Check them out. Thank you for spending some time and your willingness to come on IFC's Warrior Wednesday. So as always, join the Iowa Firearms Coalition. And very cool that Ron would offer RYKER 20 as a promo code. That's quite a spiff. I mean, not everybody comes on and says, I'm going to give you 1/5 off. So fantastic. Very kind. Thank you for that, Ron.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
See ya.
All right.